how are you today? So happy National Flamingo Week. I really don't know if that's a thing, but I just made it up because I thought it would be so much fun to learn all about flamingos this week. Last week we had a great time learning all about toucans, and it was National Toucan Week. So this week we are going to have so much fun learning about the beautiful bird, the flamingo. So I have a nonfiction story to read to you today. It is called Flamingos. And what's the first thing we do when we pick up a book to read? It's the first thing we do. Do you know, Loopy? What is it? We look at the cover and we say, what is this book going to be about? Am I going to be interested in it? And what can I learn just by looking at the cover? So take a look at this book and think, what am I learning just by looking at the cover of this book? Are you thinking to yourself, this is nonfiction because this is a photograph of a real flamingo? If your brain told you that, you are correct. This is a nonfiction book about flamingos. It's written by Victoria Blakemore. And I have to tell you something really special about this author. She's a first grade teacher. She's a first grade teacher just like me, and she wrote this whole book about flamingos so that we can learn about them. And I'm so thankful to her for writing this book. It's such a great book full of facts and information. So what is the first thing we do when we are going to read a nonfiction book? The three things we ask ourselves are, what are they, Loopy? One, why did the author write this book? Okay, so why do you think she wrote the book, Loopy? Loopy said to inform us about flamingos. You are right, Loopy. Good job. So the second thing we ask ourselves is, what do I know about this topic? So what do I know about this topic of flamingos? Well, I know they're beautiful. I know I have a lot of clothes with flamingos on them. I know that they're pink. I know I've seen them at the Lowry Park Zoo here in Florida. And besides that, I know that they're birds, but I don't really know that much about them. So I'm so excited to learn about them today. And then the third thing we're going to ask ourselves when we're finished reading this book is, what did I learn? What did I learn about flamingos? Okay, so here we go. This book is Flamingos by Victoria Blakemore. All right, so I want to show you one of the text features that a nonfiction book has is a table of contents. Can you see that? So there's so much in here about flamingos. I'm going to read you certain pages about the flamingo, and I'm finding my information that I want to share with you today in the table of contents, okay? Now, remember, a nonfiction book does not have to be read in order like a fiction storybook. A fiction storybook has to be read in order to understand the beginning, the middle, and the end. You have to read it in a sequence. But a nonfiction book is full of facts and information, and we don't have to read it in order. We can just look at the table of contents. And because we have a little bit of time to read this today, I'm just going to pick out certain things I want to teach you, or I want to read you about flamingos. So we're going to start on page 2, and that is, what are flamingos? So let's go to page 2 and let's see what flamingos are. Here we go, and here we see another nonfiction text feature, a heading. What are flamingos? Flamingos are tall, pink birds with long legs and necks. They can grow to be up to 5 feet tall with a wingspan of up to 5 feet wide. Okay, so we just had a lesson about measurement, right? So if you have a ruler around, you can get it out and you can find what 5 feet look like. And then the wingspan is how far the wings go out. That's also 5 feet. So you can measure that with your ruler, and that will give you the measurement of an actual flamingo. Flamingos can be many shades of pink. Okay, we have to read to the kids, Loopy. Let's see what's on our next table of contents page to read. Okay, page 4. Page 4, we're going to find out the kinds of flamingos. What are different kinds of flamingos? Kinds of flamingos. There are 6 different kinds of flamingos. They differ in their size, color, and where they live. The greater flamingo is the most widespread flamingo. There are more greater flamingos than any kind. All right, so that's a kind of flamingo. It's called the greater flamingo, and it's the most widespread flamingo. That means that there's the most of those kinds of flamingos. All right, let's go to page 6. Physical characteristics. That means what are they like? What do they look like, and what is their body like? Physical characteristics. Flamingos can have very long legs for their size. Their knees bend forwards instead of backwards. Can you believe that? Humans' legs bend backwards, okay? So the flamingo legs bend forward. Loopy, isn't that strange? Wow, that's such an interesting fact about flamingos. This lets them tuck their legs up under their body. Their necks are very flexible and can curve in different directions. This lets them turn their head and preen feathers with their bills. Okay, so preen means to pluck and clean. And did you hear the word bill? Bill was in our nonfiction book about toucans last weekend. Do you remember what a bill is? It's the beak. It's a beak of a bird. All right, let's see what's on our next page in our table of contents to read. Habitat. So what is their habitat like? That is on page 8. Habitat. Flamingos live in saltwater, marshes, lakes, and lagoons. They usually prefer areas that are warm with lots of space. Flamingos are able to adapt to different kinds of habitats as long as they have enough food. Wow, that's interesting. All right, let's see what's on our next page to read. All right, so let's talk about their diet. What do flamingos eat? Page 12. Diet. Flamingos are omnivores. They eat larvae, bugs, crustaceans, or small plants like algae. Their long necks let them bend down and gather food from the ground. Flamingos strain mud and sand through their hair-like combs in their bills. Wow, that's very interesting. So their bills have like little hair-like things in their bills so they can strain the food that they get out. So I guess it strains out the sand and stuff so they can get the actual animal that they're trying to eat, the bug or the crustacean or the plant. That's very interesting. Let's see what else is on our table of contents page. We're going to read about, of course, we have to read about the baby flamingos. Who is not interested about baby flamingos? Flamingo chicks, and that is on page 20. Okay, let's see what the babies are like. Right, Loopy? You want to see what the baby flamingos are like, the chicks? Flamingo chicks. Before laying an egg, flamingo parents build a mound of dirt and sand to make a nest. The parents take turns sitting on the egg until it hatches. When chicks hatch, they are white and gray in color. So they're not even pink when they're first born. They're white and gray. Chicks have down feathers, which are softer and fluffier than their parents' feathers. Oh, so it's like a really soft feather that they have. All right, let's see what other information we're going to get out of this book today. Okay, so the last thing I want to read to you is something interesting. It's a place in the world where the most flamingos live. That is on page 26, and it's a place called Lake Natron. Okay, so let's go to page 26. Here we go. Lake Natron. One of the largest colonies of flamingos is found on Lake Natron in Africa. Wow, Loopy. So the most The place that has the most flamingos that live there is in Africa on a lake called Lake Natron. The colony has over 1 million birds. It is very hot there and the lake water is very salty. Flamingos are one of the only animals able to live there. Millions of flamingos fly to Lake Natron each year to lay eggs. That is so interesting. Now, we live in Florida. Have you guys ever seen a flamingo in Florida? Well, I have seen them at the zoo, but did you know that they are also able to, they used to live in the Florida Keys. There used to be a lot of flamingos that lived in the Florida Keys, but maybe you will be lucky enough to spot one on their way to migrate, maybe in Mexico or on their way to Cuba or the Bahamas. You might get lucky enough to spot one in Florida one day. So I don't think we have a lot in our area, but we do have some that pass on through, and there's probably some areas that the flamingos still live here in Florida. So this is what I want you to do today. I want you to think of 3 facts, 3 things that you learned about a flamingo that you didn't learn before, and I want you to write them down, okay? And then I want you to try to draw a flamingo to go with them and try to remember what the characteristics were of the flamingo. Look at the long neck and the long legs, and don't forget to get your ruler out and actually measure out what a real flamingo looks like, okay? All right, guys, thanks for listening, and happy Flamingo Week. It's going to be a great week. I can't wait to read you the next story tomorrow. Bye, guys. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.